Now the topic is field techniques and tools, landscape survey using transect and quadrants. Landscape survey is a research tool in geography. It includes the study of the configuration of land. It includes the exogenetic study of land and the effect of endogenetic forces on the earth surfaces as well as the anthropogenic attributes of the earth surfaces, anthropogenic interferences of the earth. Basically, it's a study of landscape with specific objective and specific purpose. Landscape survey is a combination of two things, that is the field survey and the desk-based survey. Okay. Objective of landscape survey: to first and foremost objective to know about the information. It may be qualitative or quantitative information about the land, which is ever dynamic, the configuration of the land. Second one is the landscape study may includes the whole study area or maybe the small part or small segment of the area. Landscape study normally includes the configuration of land, lithosphere, the effect of exogenetic study, interaction of land, water, air, weathering phenomena, and in coastal zone, all the configuration, all the phenomena related to land, all are covered in the landscape study. And even the anthropogenic intervention and human activities on land and its consequence also including landscape study. Landscape study has a spatio-temporal dimension. It includes the changing phenomena of landscape, that is the spatio-temporal dimension of the landscape study. And landscape survey also segmented into the two parts, that is the aerial part, and second one is the linear part. Landscape study has two parts. First one is the direct observation or the direct method. It's related to direct field observation method or the active method. And second one is the indirect or the passive method. The direct method is most important techniques in landscape survey. Here it is segmented into the two parts, that is linear part, that is line or the transit through the linear distance, and second is the aerial part. Okay, first one is the line. Line may be straight line, maybe curved line, so on. And second was is the aerial, maybe polygon, maybe triangle, maybe quadrangle, so on. It's the aerial attributes. So those are the basic types of landscape survey. Those field-based survey and desk-based survey. This is the active method, and desk-based is a passive method. And field-based survey or active method includes linear, non-linear or aerial, then sketches as photography and videos. It's an active participation. It's related to active participant. And desk-based method based on satellite imagery, Google Map, and various kinds of map. They are just like the old toposit series, new toposit series, local map, and all these things. It's a passive method of participation in landscape survey. So those are the types of landscape survey: linear, non-linear, sketches, photography, and video. Those are related, very much relevant in the study of physical geography as well as the social geography too. Landscape survey maybe covers the teeny area or the small area. It also covers the several kilometer or several square kilometer areas. Depends on the researcher's choice. So the magnitude and scale of landscape study depends on the researcher hypothesis, researcher objectives, and researcher choice. It may be a small tiny zone and maybe a several kilometer or square kilometer areas. So, various aspects of the landscape study. Landscape study is very relevant and very important in geographical research. It includes in the study of geoarchaeology, geomorphology, geohydrology, land use, land cover study, plant and animal species study, and here areal distribution, environmental study, soil or pedological study, and fluvial study, so on. It's very important in the cases of research in physical geography. Landscape study also includes the lithospheric study, soil study, land study. It's a very integral part of geomorphology, fluvial geography, hydrology, and geohydrology. Landscape survey by the transit method. Line method or the straight line method is known as the transit method. It's just a line. Line method is known as a transit method. Line is the two-dimensional aspect always accompanied by the coordinates value. Line also accompanied by the coordinate value. It's a two-dimensional aspect. In transit survey method, the attributes are recorded along the straight line. Various and several attributes may be recorded by the transit method, and it's all the information recorded along the straight line. Okay, here the tape and the rope is a very important attributes, important tools for the transit method landscape survey. We can take an example too. Serial profile study and superimposed profile study, longitudinal profile of river terrace studies, that kind of study normally accompanied by the transit method. Okay, transit method is a linear concept. First one is a linear concept. It's accompanied by the coordinates value. Tape is very measuring instrument, or the linear measuring instrument, that is tape, is very important and integral part of transit survey. And studies always follow the line, or line may be continuous, may be segmented into the several part. The example of the transit studies are the serial profile, river line, river gradient, superimposed profile, river terrace, oscillation of river, so on. Suppose it's a map of northern part of Bankura district. It's the river Damodar is flowing to that direction. Suppose researcher tries to prepare the long profile of river, then she or he goes through this line and prepare the gradient line. So here the information collected by the researcher, that is solely on the line information. We can get all the information, researcher can get all the information that will be along the line. So that kind of information we collected from the transit landscape survey. Suppose the river terrace study. So researcher can segmented the river left hand side and right hand side of the river through this series of linear profile. Those information researcher through the dumpy level survey or the auto level survey can get the information of height of the both sides of the river Damodar. That kind of information is known as a information related to the transit landscape survey. So transit landscape survey researcher gets the information, all the information along the line. It's an example of transit study. It's a real information study. This is the river Subarnarekha flowing in that direction, and it is the river Nala Daronala, and here the Hudru Falls. Hudru Fault is a fault zone. Here fault zone is measured by the transit method. This is the Hudru Falls. Here this is the Hudru Falls. This Hudru fault zone is measured and plotted in that diagram. This is a normal fault through this transit method. This line is a transit line. This line is a transit line. Here the Knic Point study of Subarnarekha in Hudru Fall done by the transit landscape survey. This is the real information. Now come to the point of landscape survey with the aerial method. This method is also known as the non-linear method or the aerial method. The area is basically the polygon. It's maybe small area or large area. Those are depend on the researcher objective and researcher hypothesis and researcher's choices. So polygon may be triangle, sphere or polygon. With the help of prismatic compass, ranging rod, measuring staff, laser distance meter, and with the help of auto label, the area can defined by the researcher according to researcher choice. It's a defined area. Okay. This is for this specific purpose, researcher with the help of GPS can get the coordinates value. It's very important to justify the region to identify the specific region. Okay, shape, size of area of the quadrant or triangle or the polygon depends upon the researcher objectives and researcher choice. So the area of quadrant is framed with the help of rope or the framing instrument. Quadrant area is a frame area. Frame can be made using by PVC pipe or rope or the measuring tape, so on. So this area or quadrant is the frame area. Frame can be made by wire, hoops, wooden cutboard, so on. The using of monofilament or the string or the tape are the very conventional method to identify the area. Suppose this is an area. Suppose this area is identified with the help of measuring tape and the staff or the wrenching rod, and this area is defined with the help of rope. So this method is known as a aerial method to landscape survey. For that purpose, we can take several examples. In geoarchaeological study of a particular site is demarcated by the PVC pipe. Suppose for the excavation study and excavation activities at a specific space at a specific time confined within the quadrant zone. It's very important in geoarchaeological study. We can take another example. For identification of rocks and mineral site of a particular location, the demarcation is made by the measuring tape, which is more convenient. That is, research can use measuring tape or rope or PVC pipe, but with the help of GPS for proper coordinates and the proper datum level measurement is essential. So researcher here with the help of GPS, the altitude of that location, the coordinate of that location and the datum level of the location identify with the help of GPS. So for the instrument, few instruments are very essential for the landscape survey, maybe aerial, maybe transit. Those are the GPS, measuring tape, auto level, ranging rod, measuring staff, distance meter, maybe analog or digital. With the help of others instrument depends on the purpose of the researcher, on the objective and desire and choice of the researcher. And suppose for the measuring the river water flow, here the tape ranging rod is the very integral instrument for the measurement the river flow. Okay, it may be transit method or maybe aerial method. Rope, anchor, water flow meter, time measurer, those instruments are very important for the landscape survey. Landscape survey may be aerial or may be transit or linear, but few instrumentation and direct field observation is the essential part for that. Desk-based method. It's basically the passive methods. Here, the researcher includes or researcher get informations from the secondary source or the third party's information. Here, the study maybe includes both transit and quadrant survey, but the data used here is always comes from the secondary source. It includes the various sources like topographical map, satellite map. We can download the satellite from the Bhuvan data and the Landsat series from the Landsat series too. We can use the base map and other relevant information from the secondary source or from the third party material. On the basis of above information from the secondary field survey, researcher can study easily the transit survey as well as the quadrant survey. We can take an example that on the basis of topographical scale is rather RF is 1:50,000. Researcher can study the profile. Okay, serial profile, superimposed profile, river line profile, all these things. This is nothing but a text-based research. On the basis of topographical sheet and the satellite imagery may be downloaded from the Bhuvan or the Landsat series, researcher can study and prepare the slope map, digital elevation map. Those are the example of text-based research. But those study may be aerial or the maybe transit study. Okay, now come to the third point, that is the construction of sketches. Okay, this is different from the cartographic technique. We are the geographers. Sometimes we think that any sketch is cartography. No, it's different from the cartographic techniques. It may be two-dimensional or maybe three-dimensional. The scale is not mandatory for that. Here the scale is not mandatory for that. Researcher can choose or can alter that kind of information. It is purely objective specific. It is purely objective specific. It's depend on objective and purpose of the researcher. Okay. Okay, we can take a few example of that. Subarnarekha River study and it Hudru Falls. Few slide back, I already described that. In the 3D view, we can get the hanging wall and footwall side of the displacement direction of the Hudru Fall. And this we can plot it with the help of sketches, with the help of 3D sketches. That kind of information we can get from the direct field observation and the sketch method by construction of sketches. Mainly, it is used to depict the spatial characteristic of land like geological structure, lineament pattern, fall type, river terrace, river oscillation, all these things. Hudru fall example and Knic Point formation, we can plot it into the sketches. With the help of sketches, we can describe that phenomena. Next method is photo or the video recording. It's very important and powerful tools because it provides audio-visual presentation or audio-visual information about the field study. It is basically the objective specific and purpose specific, and its clear interpretation, and for the self explanation, it's a self explanatory information. And photo and video accompanied by the measuring tape, always accompanied by the measuring tape to to describe the magnitude extent of the area, always accompanied by the measuring tapes, and always accompanied by the coordinates and the datum level, always. Okay, we can take few example of that. Suppose the study of Tagore Hill in Ranchi region. This study of a landscape objective is to study the landscape to show the occurrence of gneiss and granite. Here the photographs, those are the gneiss banding. Those are the gneiss banding. White color, this is gneiss, and black is the granite. The objective is to show the gneiss and the granite combination of two types of formation. This photograph with the helps of coordinate system, with the helps of coordinates value and measuring tape, the researcher can describe the phenomena of that kind of formation. This photograph taken in the district Bankura in the bank of river Darikeshwar. Here the researcher objective is to describe the association of quartzite with the tourmaline. This black is a tourmaline, quartzite and tourmaline in the bank of river Darikeshwar near the Rajogram village of Bankura with the help of measuring tape. This kind of information we can get from the photography directly. Here, the photography describes the pothole formation in the upper catchment of river Kanchi in Jharkhand. It is a pothole formation, big, very large size and big size of pothole in the upper part of Kanchi. It's a small Knic Point formation. With the help of photograph, with the help of audiovisual recording system, researcher can easily describe the very complex phenomena in very easiest way. So video recording is an audiovisual tape. Measuring tape is very integral part of that. Location and coordinate and datum value is essential for that. Important tool to study the motion of the water, river bank erosion, sand study, sand mining study, subsidence study. Those are the very important aspect to show the reality with the help of video recording and audio visual study. So to depict the motion of the color of water, it's always add few color or the balloon in the water flow to describe the flowing pattern of water. That kind of recording system is very important in the video recording study. It's basically video recording study with field study with the help of video recording method is a very purpose specific. Here for the river code study, suppose this is river, for the river code study, water researcher can puts few balloons in river and can identify easily the motion of water, can add color to identify the motion of water or the circulation of water in the upper part and lower part. Those kind of study is very important in geographical research, in field method, maybe transit or aerial, but those are the direct methods. So in landscape survey or the transit survey, both methods are very important, as well as the direct method, that is direct field study, and the desk based study. Here I like to conclude with the name of Carl Ritter. You know, he's a pillar of geography. In spite of that, he is known as an armchair geographer because of he done almost all his work on the basis of text based study. So text based study is also important in geographical research. So landscape survey and the field survey is essential powerful tool to understand the development and changing of the landscape. It's maybe combination of both, maybe text-based research or maybe direct field research. Historical map, aerial information, aerial photography, historical document, oral testimonial, money, all are used in the field-based research. But research work is a combination of both, as well as field-based research, direct method, and the text-based method.